This video will be fully dedicated to the new watch from Sternglas. As you can see, I have this nice small box with the Sternglas logo on the top. As first, I would suggest to open this box, do our traditional unboxing, and then we will talk a bit more in detail about this particular model. So the name of this watch is Marus, and as you can see, that's the first diver from the German watchmaker. They decided to take an inspiration in old diver watches, and it's visible here. I mean, the overall design is, I would say, rather classic. And the main challenge was also to combine the Bauhaus approach to design, because as you can see, the dial is as minimalistic as we see on the market in the diver watches. But as usual, I would suggest to start with the dial and then gradually we will move on to all other components of this watch. So, I guess there is no need to highlight that today we are going to talk about this green watch, but it's worth noting that there is also a black dialed watch, and it's kinda boring in my opinion because it does not highlight the main features of this watch, whereas this green dialed version together with metal bezel, it's completely different appearance and completely different perception of the watch. So what do we have here? It's the 43mm dial, and we have also the circular burst effect here, which is quite visible with the green cover. With black it's not that visible in my opinion, and also this engraving is not really smooth. We have some kind of texture, you will see it on macro shots which will be included into this video, but this actually adds a visual interest to the overall composition and doesn't make it boring. And it actually nicely works together with a case finish, which we will talk a bit later. Of course, the dial, as we remember, is finished more in a Bauhaus or minimalistic styling. So here we have no numbers at all, only the date window at 6 mark. Indices are finished as rectangular elements. They're not applied, but they're covered with superluminova, so that's also quite good. And as for the handset, we have here a classic setup, so we have two large parts for hours and minutes, while the second hand is finished fully in the brushed metal, and it actually also works together with all these elements on the dial. I have to note that there are not that many logos on the dial, and that's actually good because it makes the overall appearance even more sleek. I would rather get rid of automatic and 200-meter water protection as well, but well, what you can do. And note that the date window, it does not have anything around it, so it kinda sits flush, almost flush, together with the dial itself. We also have the small dots which are used as an index for the overall dial, and of course it would be cool to have the magnifying glass over the date indicator, but it's not present here, even though it would be a cool appearance and a really good element to have on diver watch. What I also would like to highlight here is that we have domed sapphire glass. As you can see, it's slightly concave and it actually creates a nice visual effect. Not so easy to take a photo or shoot a video, but it's actually good in everyday use, so no worries about it. And of course it's scratch resistant, so it will be more difficult to damage during everyday use. Dark conditions is also not a problem for this watch. We have so-called Nemoto Luminova covering on the hands and indices. Note that it's not present on the bezel unfortunately, even though I would rather prefer to have it at least here at the middle mark. But overall the nighttime legibility is good, daytime legibility is even better thanks to the big hands and big indices. And here I would rather move to the case because it's also not as boring as it might look on the first sight. So I already mentioned the case sizing. It's 43 millimeters, and as you can see, it's a rather classic shape for the diver watch. We have here the slight angles on the edges, and also we have a brushed finish, which I really appreciate. It's better than the shiny things which we are used to see today on the market almost in any diver watch. What I also like is the bezel, because bezel here sits really tight. It doesn't have any extra movement. It's a nice metal part with engravings for the digits, and we also have the ratcheting here, so it looks really good. And maybe I can even try to show you the sound, because sound is also good, so I will place it in front of the microphone. And that's what I really appreciate. There is no extra movement, be it backwards or counterclockwise, and this is really cool. It just sits like a solid piece of part. It adds to the overall quality perception, and I think this is really great finish for this watch. Great thing to have. And as I said before, with the black dial you get it in a black color, so it doesn't look as unusual as here, and it looks a bit more sleek even in the metal finish as what we have today. So if I try to take it off the pouch, here I have to note a few things. First of all, this is a diver watch from Sternglas, that's why we have a screw down crown. It's easy to screw out thanks again to the rough engraving on the edges. And also the element itself is rather big, I would say. It has two positions because it has date window, and of course the screw back is not a difficult thing to do, so I don't think you will be having any issues here. We also have the Sternglas logo on the crown, and also on the rear caseback we have engraving of an abstract seabed. There are no clear inserts, so you won't be able to appreciate the movement. And as for the movement, I think we can mention it straight away, so there is no surprise that we are having Miyota inside. It's Miyota 8215 caliber with 43 hours power reserve. I think it's a quite familiar caliber, and you might have had it in your previous watches. Even Sternglas used it in some models. It's quite reliable movement, but the only thing you should keep in mind that it doesn't have hacking, so once you are setting up the time, it doesn't stop the seconds hand. And of course it has all the basic functions. We have the date indication, we have also nice indication of the hours and minutes, so that's everything you can wish for. And of course the water protection, it's the first watch from Sternglas which features actually 200 meters water protection. And while all this sounds good, I think it's worth sharing the in-use experience in real life. So let's jump to this section of our review. Actually, before we start the in-use section, or maybe we can start it actually with the strap. So it's not a strap, it's a bracelet, but we have what Sternglas calls the block strap. As you can see, it is assembled out of large metal or stainless steel blocks. And I already shortened it. I had to remove, I think, 4 blocks in order to make it suitable for my wrist. As you can see, it's a double clasp, which is easy to open. And we have also Sternglas logo here, and it sits nicely on the wrist. I usually leave a bit of the space in order to make it comfortable to wear, but of course you can reduce it even more. And as you can see, there is no issue whatsoever. And again, you can see the fitment of this watch, so it really looks good. And I think for 43 millimeters it's rather nice. What is quite surprising here, And maybe that's the small trick from Sternglas, is that we have the quick release here, so it means you will be able to change it quickly for some different version, maybe for the rubber or textile, and Sternglas actually offers such options, so you can order it together with the original watch. But in my opinion, this combo is actually how it should look like, because all these parts just work together nicely and create really bold and elegant image of the watch. But about the comfort, so we have here a 43mm watch, and I would say it's rather easy to use. I did not have any problems with legibility, and again I have to say that I appreciate the brushed finish on the watch. I am kinda tired from all these mirror polished surfaces on the watches, which are really difficult to preserve in pristine condition, while here we have, I would say, more of a really durable finish together with strong sapphire glass on the top, so I think that's a really cool choice for the everyday use, and it will work nicely with any outfit. You won't have any issues. What you might have to work with or to live with is the lugs. They are, as you can see, kind of protruding from the case, so for some wrists it might be not okay. My wrist is 18 centimeters, so that's why it sits more or less fine, and it's not too thick even though it might seem to be, so there is no problem to wear it with the long sleeves. Lug width here is 20mm, so it will be easy to replace it. It's quite a popular dimension, so I think you'll find a lot of aftermarket for this watch, which will actually play nicely with the green dial. And here we come back to the overall appearance of this watch, because I think it's also quite important nowadays. What makes it different from the rivals is the color of the dial. It's not a simple shade of the green, it actually nicely plays on the light thanks to this circular brushing, and again, designers managed to preserve a really clean styling, so there is nothing extra and it actually works together and it doesn't look cheap. And here I think we can mention the price. So nowadays you can get it, if you will be lucky, during Black Friday with a really good discount. There will be a discount code also in the video description below and in the review article. But usually this watch retails on the official website for $500 US. And what can I say about this price tag? At first it might look a bit tricky, because you get a lot of rivals on the market for this price, even from some famous brands, and I think there is no need to mention which ones. But again, if you are searching for something different, this might be something to look at, because it will offer you a really nice build quality, quite reliable movement inside, and all this for a relatively reasonable price tag. Yes, there are some minor things which I would rather prefer to be different, but this is, I would say, more of my own preferences on how I see the diver watches, and I think it won't influence the price that much, but who knows, maybe we'll see some upgraded version from Sternglas. But the watch as it is in this green dialed version is a really good opportunity to have something different from all these mainstream choices on the market. Definitely take a look, and of course I will be happy to hear your opinion about this watch. Do not forget to write it in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me and listening about this great diver's watch, Marus Sternglas, and I will see you in the next video as usual. Thank you and bye.